Are you starting clomid or femara for ovulation induction? Well, I'll walk you through my protocol today coming up. Hey everyone, Dr. Wes Davis back with you again today. I make weekly YouTube videos using the best possible evidence-based information to help you have the best possible outcome. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. So I'm going to walk you through today how I run a cycle of clomid or femara, really day by day. What do we do? How do we break it down? So you'll understand what to do when you go home with your prescription and you're getting ready to start a cycle for ovulation induction. If you haven't yet, check out my videos on evaluation of infertility and PCOS, as a lot of the evaluation that I would do prior to starting a cycle of clomid or femara is included in those videos. Now, the most common reason that I would use clomid or femara is for what we call ovulatory dysfunction, people who are not ovulating regularly. We do also use it for what we call unexplained infertility. A patient and a partner have been evaluated and there's no obvious reason to explain their infertility. Sometimes we do clomid or femara with or without inseminations, and the cycles really pretty much run the same. So I'm just going to walk you through that cycle now. So basically everything starts with the first day of your period. We call that day number 1. I'm going to put a little calendar right up in here, and I'm just going to walk you through it. So day 1 is the first day of your period. I usually start clomid or femara on day 3. Day 5 is also fine. I've just always run day 3 cycles. There's really no proof that one's any better than the other. So we start the medication on day 3, usually 50 milligrams of clomid or 5 milligrams of femara. That's 1 dose per day for 5 days, so that gets you from day 3 to day 7. Typically, if this is your first cycle especially, I'm going to do a follicle check between day 10 and 12. And I'll show you what that looks like up here on the screen. Typically, we're trying to get the ovary to produce a follicle that is somewhere in the 18 to 20 millimeter range. That's what you expect just before ovulation. Now, we're either going to do a trigger shot with HCG at that point to trigger ovulation, or track for ovulation with an ovulation predictor kit. Either way, when we have a positive on the OPK or we do a trigger with HCG, the following day is the day that we do an insemination if inseminations are being done. Now, I do also recommend daily intercourse in the days leading up to the follicle check, as there is evidence that daily intercourse does result in higher rates of conception. And if you don't know yet, I have a video that talks about maximizing your natural fertility. I'll put a link up here in the corner that shows you that one. There are several things you can do, and I discuss them in more detail in that video. So about 2 weeks later, now we're talking about roughly day 24, 25, 26, somewhere in there, you're either going to get a period or you're not. And certainly by day 28, you'd expect to have a period. Either way, I recommend do a pregnancy test somewhere in that neighborhood, as if you are pregnant, we should be picking up right around then. If the pregnancy test is negative, then the whole cycle just repeats, starting over again on day 3. I think that it's reasonable to do 3 to 6 cycles of clomid and or femara before moving on to more advanced techniques. So there are a couple other wrinkles to my protocol that I'll discuss now. Some people don't have a regular cycle, and so they really don't have a period to start off on their day 1. And there actually is evidence that if you induce a period for those people, you may actually reduce their fertility. I don't typically start a period anymore by giving somebody Provera for a few days to start a period and then go for day 1. I just typically jump in there, and I'll do an ultrasound first just to check the ovaries, make sure things look quiet. And assuming they do, then I'll just jump in, and then I'll give them the prescription that day, tell them to start it up. Basically, on this protocol, you'd call that day 3, and then we just see them in about a week for a follicle check. Another thing that I'll do is if you come back for the follicle check and there's no follicle developing, and I'll show a picture of what that looks like up here. If there's no follicle developing, then I will just go ahead and increase the dose right there on the spot. So if you were on 50 milligrams of clomid, we'd bump it to 100. Typically, max dose is about 150 on clomid. There's no evidence that going beyond that really improves fertility rates. Or if you were on 5 milligrams of femara, you can bump it up to 7.5. If you've done all those things and we're still not seeing ovulation, one last trick is adding metformin might be of benefit in that situation. So I will sometimes do that for a cycle or 2. Okay, so that's how I run my clomid and femara cycles. I hope you found that information interesting. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.